Good afternoon to you again. It is Friday, August 9th at 4:06. I didn't reach my goal. I did not get back to you before 4 o'clock, but I am here and I'm ready to go with part two of the big prediction special. Not necessarily by special. It's not a longer show. It's hopefully relatively short again. The last one was under 20 minutes. I'm going to try to shoot for that again. And if you're tuning in for a second time, I appreciate it. It is, it's a good time to get together. Not much going on for many people on a Friday afternoon, but here we go. Before I do it, I want to thank, because I have to do it again, and I'm obliged because I'm a fan of these two partners. But thanks to our friends at homefieldapparel.com and AJ's. EatAJs.com, homefieldapparel.com. If you want to go to grab a t-shirt pack or one of the platinum packs for Homefield Apparel, I suggest you do it soon, because the longer you wait, the longer you're going to have to wait to get it. Enter Boiled25 at checkout to get 15% off your first order. And of course, when you're on campus, head towards the fire station and then run to the warm embrace of the pretzel appetizer at AJ's. It is an incredible snack. If you don't like that, get the mac and cheese bites. Either one of those are going to be really, really good. And then at a burger at Italian Beef, Burgers, Beef, Beer. That's AJ's. AJ's by the fire station. So Ted Berkey's back. So this'll be. I'm going to get into the football playoff national championship here in a minute. Before I do it, I'm going to go over a couple news notes because I think they're fun. First one is, and I think I mentioned this, and I talked about this, but I'm not positive how much I dug into it. I just want to say, well done, Purdue fans, Purdue football fans specifically. If you're like me, you're a season ticket holder. And so the season tickets for this coming season for your Boilermakers have sold out. And that's pretty awesome. That's a pretty big testament to how hungry for a winner the Purdue fan base perpetually is. That's awesome. Well done, guys, girls, thrill seekers, children everywhere. I'm looking forward to the season just as many of you are, but that's pretty damn cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about, there's four things I want to talk about. Second thing is, with all the Michigan stuff happening, I have made a couple pithy stickers on RedBubble. If you want to check them out, they're in the link is in the description, in the bio, whatever. Just saying, why isn't Purdue the 22 Big Ten national champs, since they cheated? And now we found out over and over they've been cheating. So I'm going to declare Purdue the Big Ten champion. I don't know if I think I said national champ there, but the 2022 Big Ten champions. That's your Purdue Boilermakers out of Indianapolis. So they went to Indianapolis. There was no other team to play there. They forfeited, and of course, they were awarded the Big Ten championship. That's the way I remember it. I was there. But Michigan cheats their ass off, and it's now been proven over and over. Michigan fans don't want to talk about it. They said it was a witch hunt months ago. Now they're sending the stuff out with multiple scapegoats out of town, out of Ann Arbor. But we all know the truth. And so I just want to hit that. Finally, one very interesting thing. You already know this. Purdue's basketball team is getting ready to play Texas A&M in Indianapolis in the pre-con. That's cool. That's noteworthy. But the really cool thing is recently there's been an addition of Butler playing Wisconsin, and they're bringing back the Indy Classic moniker. So Purdue will play A&M. Butler will play Wisconsin. Should be a better atmosphere because there's no IU fans. So that's about it. So now let's dig into some other things from football practice. If you've been paying attention, I said there are a couple notes. The first one was, if you haven't seen Will Helt in an interview, you should go check out what Will Helt looks like now. And I said, I tipped my cap. I said, wow, Will Helt has changed. But you should check out the interviews. He looks like a different dude. It reminds me a little bit of the transformation Ryan Kerrigan went through between his freshman and sophomore year at Purdue. Will Helt also, I think he's officially a sophomore because he played enough downs. I don't think he's a redshirt. But he was on campus last year, and he looked a bit like a basketball player in a football uniform. Now he's a dude. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, Terrian Grant is practicing now. He was held out due to what did Walters called them, football injuries and dings, that sort of thing. But Terry Grant is now practicing. That's good news for all everyone out there who loves to see Purdue win on the recruiting trail. Terry Grant is the crown jewel of that class. Let's see. I think that's about it. That's about all I got for my notes for today. Of course, like I said earlier, if you were here earlier, that the scrimmage for yesterday was moved to Saturday. And so there'll be more to talk about Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. I'll probably wait till next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, to have another one of these quick casts, and we can talk a little bit about what we heard about. It's still not going to, it's not the same as a real game. But scrimmages are a little bit better. They're a lot better than just practice reports. And if you're like me, you've been watching drills just to see if you can see anything out of those. But this will be better. So let's talk a little bit about this newfangled tournament that's coming in December this year. At the end of the season, you're going to see 12 teams, 12 of the best football teams playing each other. And if it goes according to schedule, you'll have one group of five team playing, and then 11 power conference teams playing in this tournament. The really cool thing, of course, there's some differences. The conference champs will get, that's ACC, Big East, ACC, Big 10, SEC, and Big 12. The conferences will get auto bids. They'll get 4 seeds. They will get the buys as well. But the play-in games are going to be awfully interesting. They're going to be really, really cool because they're going to be played on campus. So there's 2 ways to look at it. Do you want to sit out for a while? Do you want to get healthy? Because it's a long grind of a season, especially coming off of if your favorite team played in the conference championship. Teams like I have SC going to the Big Ten Conference Championship, so they will have just played 13 games. Would they rather stay in rhythm? I think it'll be 1 week break and they get right back into it? Or would you rather have a couple weeks break? I think that's the way they're going to do it. Not positive yet. It's all new to me, but that's the way I think it's going to go. So these play-in games are going to be really fun. But before we announce the fake postseason national championship bracket, let's look at the teams that won the conference championship in this fake world first. Okay. The SEC champ, the Georgia Bulldogs, are the #1 overall seed. They'll play the winner. I'm not going to do that yet. So the SEC has the #1 overall team. The #2 overall team is Oregon, and they're going to get that bye in the first round. The #3 overall team is Kansas State out of the Big 12, and the #4 overall team is Florida State out of the ACC, and that's a pretty big deal because they were snubbed last year. And so many, many lawsuits have happened since then, and the eventual breakup of the ACC is going to come because of Florida State saying they didn't get the opportunity they deserved and other reasons, and they think the conference is in a kind of a place where it's dying a little bit. But it's a really interesting conference. If you do what I just did and you look through all the records and who's possibly going to be, if there are 2 or 3 teams out of the ACC, I'd say they're probably only going to be 2. And then you start saying, which 2 would they be? Well, I'm going to tell you here in a second who I think my second team out of the ACC would be, and it might surprise you a bit, and it might make you angry a little bit too. That's a little hint. But before we do that, let's see, who would Georgia be playing? The winner of which game would Georgia be playing? Well, in my opinion, they would be playing the winner of the Notre Dame Ole Miss game. So the 8 versus 9 seed game in South Bend, Indiana, a cold game. Ole Miss will be coming up from the SEC after losing their conference championship to the Georgia Bulldogs. They would be coming. Actually, yeah, I think that's what I'd have. They'd be coming up to South Bend. That's a tough draw. It's a cold place to play for a team out of Mississippi. And then down below that, you'd have a game in Tennessee. And this is a very interesting game because this is the game between Liberty and the University of Tennessee. So the dark horse, the team that's the longest shot, the 12 seed, will be Liberty, and they'll be playing Tennessee in Knoxville. That's a tough draw for Liberty. They don't have to. Their fans don't have to travel very far. That's the good news. But there won't be many seats available. I'm sure of that. Even with the allocations, it's still going to be tough to find a seat for Liberty. And then the play-in game out of Columbus, Ohio, will be the disappointed and angry and frothing at the mouth Ohio State Buckeyes. They'll be hosting out of the Big 12, the Utah Utes, the 7-10 game. Of course, Ohio State be the 7 and the Utah would be 10. And then finally, this is the game that I think might make Purdue fans a little bit angry. It would make Jay Money angry, I bet. In Los Angeles, California, USC will be hosting the Louisville Cardinals out of the ACC. That game would be maybe the most interesting of the four because neither team likes to play defense. So that could be like in the 50s. So that'd be a lot of fun to watch that one. And I think, I'll just start right there. I think you would have USC move on. They would get past Louisville. Louisville's inability to stop anybody will hurt them in the postseason, as we saw. I think last year we saw that. And so you had SC would right away play Kansas State. So that would be the number 6 playing the 3. Little chalky matchup there. Big 12 and new Big 10 matchup. And then the Ohio State-Utah game, like I said, I think Ohio State will be pretty resolute at this point after losing to Oregon a few weeks prior, or I guess it'd be about 5-6 weeks prior, 4 or 5 weeks prior, sorry. Utah would be tough because Utah's going to have a 75-year-old quarterback. But Ohio State will be ready. Ryan Day will have them ready. Ohio State will move on to play Oregon yet again, a rematch of the lone loss for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Next up, Notre Dame and Ole Miss. I think Notre Dame gets the best of Ole Miss. They turn a little bit of the old bad luck they've had in the postseason by beating a good Ole Miss team, a team that moves the ball well. Coach Freeman's team moves on and will play. Their reward for beating Ole Miss is they get to play another SEC foe, the Georgia Bulldogs. So the number 8 Notre Dame team will play Georgia. And then finally, in an absolute shellacking, the laugher of the first round, in my opinion, Tennessee will rain fire down on Liberty with an offensive display that we haven't seen in a long time. Another game that'll be up in the 50s. Maybe they'll get in the 60s. Who knows? Different ball game right there for poor Liberty. They made it to the tournament. They get the unusual first nod as a 12 seed, and they lose to Tennessee. Tennessee and Florida State will play then the 5 versus 4 matchup. So who wins Georgia versus Notre Dame? I got Georgia winning. Aren't a ton of surprises right now. A little bit, maybe too much chalk, but I look at it and I'm just like, man, these teams that are battle tested, these teams that have depth, that's a big deal. The depth is probably the biggest story for me when I look at the programs that are built for playing 12, 13, 14, 15 games. By the way, it's not that unusual to play 15 games in other divisions. Like we said before, Division I AA, I can't remember the name right now, whatever they call that. They play a lot of games. High school football, they play a lot of games. So this is not the end of the world to have these teams playing 15 games or whatever, 16 games. I think it'd be 15 after the conference championship. So Georgia gets past Notre Dame with relative ease, just kind of puts them in a point of submission, just being Georgia. They're so darn strong, so deep, so many weapons. Then Tennessee and Florida State play, and Tennessee gets past the Seminoles in a close game. I think that would be a fun one. And then on the other side of the bracket, I've got Oregon and Ohio State in a classic revenge game. Ohio State, best Oregon. Oregon's speed, not enough this time, as Ohio State advances to the semifinal of this inaugural national championship tournament. And then finally, who wins between Kansas State and USC? I've got Kansas State going there, and I think Kansas State's going to be really solid. And then their reward would be they get to play Ohio State, so the 3-7 matchup, and then you've got the 1-5 matchup. Georgia versus Tennessee, an SEC matchup on one side of the bracket, and then on the other side, Ohio State versus Kansas State. Well, who wins? This is going to be familiar, and I showed it in my picture. I kind of showed some in my hand. Georgia will get past Tennessee, and then Ohio State will get past Kansas State to play in the championship. Georgia and Ohio State, a rematch of, 2022. Georgia won 42-41 in that game. Very good game. This time in Atlanta, again, Ohio State will win, and they will be your national championship. They'll be your national champ. Ohio State, the 2025 national champs in my pretend version of this upcoming tournament. And that's about all I've got today. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in live. I'll talk to you guys really quickly. Ted Berkey says, I predict a fun and maddening season. And I think that's a good one. I think it's going to be more fun than maddening for our Boilermakers. I think college football is going to be really interesting. I think this tournament is going to be a positive thing. More football equals more better generally for me. That's not always the case, but I think it will this year. Timothy Eaton says, looking for a 6-6 type season. Agreed. Talent returning should be a fun season. Agreed. And he says again, impressive Boiler Nation selling out. Yeah, it's really impressive. And it's going to be awesome to be in Ross-Ade. Some of the people that may not be the biggest fans who have bought season tickets, you might have to grit your teeth a little bit in the early season until Purdue gets rolling. Like I said, it's a tough schedule, but I think good things will happen this season. I think Purdue gets to a bowl game, like I said in the last one. If you haven't watched part 1, go back and watch or listen to it. Appreciate you. Todd Singer says, good afternoon. How are you, Todd? Hope you're well. Hope you've got well, it's too early to have a rye in your hand. Maybe later in the evening, but hope you're doing well. Ryan Michael Anthony Harrington says, I know you predicted Notre Dame to win at Ross-Ade this year, but do you see any way Purdue wins that game? I think there's a good chance Notre Dame is 1-1 going into that game. And if that happens, Ryan, that shakes up everything here. That would Notre Dame still go to the tournament? I think they very well could, even with a loss to Purdue. I have Notre Dame beating Purdue. I think there's a chance Purdue can win. If you look at the marquee games that Purdue has, that they have to steal one really to get to that 6-6 mark. Notre Dame, Oregon, and Penn State. I said Oregon or Penn State really because I kind of think Notre Dame will be prepared early in the season, but they've had a tendency the last couple of years to look a little flat in the first 2 or 3 games. So I don't think it's completely out of the question for Purdue to win. If they do that, I haven't looked at Notre Dame's schedule. I didn't go through them game by game, but I just kind of I put them in this tournament because I think they're a pretty good team, and I like Coach Freeman a lot, like most Purdue fans do. John Reinert says Purdue 8-4, and I love it. And John's not alone. I know a lot of people told me they heard it here first when they've told me that, but there have been many of you who have told me that. I do not know who said it first. I do know that many have been saying it for months, and I appreciate your optimism. If they go 8-4, like I said this last 2 quick casts ago. If they go 8-4, you're going to have the Ryan Walters sweepstakes is going to be open because a lot of elite programs are going to want Coach Walters' services, and then you're going to have Mike Babinski maybe in his final big move as the athletic director, because I bet he doesn't have a ton of years left being AD at Purdue just because of his age. Who knows? But I bet he doesn't have a ton of years left. His final move, his final big success would probably be keeping Coach Walters and holding on to the future of Purdue football. After an 8-4 season, I think every Purdue football fan would, all those season ticket holders like me will re-up immediately without question. There's going to be a raise in season ticket prices, and it's going to be a battle to keep Walters on campus, but I love it. Dick Stillwagon says, Boiler up again, and thank you for being here, Dick, twice. I appreciate it, and I think that's it. Last time I think I was like 18 minutes something, and this time I'm under 19 right now. As I sign off to you, and I bid you a good Friday evening, hope you go out and enjoy the weather. It's beautiful outside in central Indiana. God bless you. Hammer down. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.